It's a dream come true. You're a squirrel in a house full of nuts. You can have them, but you'll have to be fast and flexible. That's where your dirt bike comes in. Get ready to flip, weave, and launch yourself through obstacle-filled courses in a whimsical, hand-drawn world. Welcome to the Playdate podcast, bringing you stories from game designers, developers, and the team behind Playdate, the little yellow game console with a crank. I'm Krista Mergen. Today I'm talking with Nino van Hooff and Julie Bjørnskov, creators of the wacky physics platformer Wheelsprung. Both Nino and Julie have created fantastic games for Playdate, but this is their first time joining forces. And just a heads up that this episode does contain some light spoilers for the game's narrative elements, gameplay mechanics, and a couple of the levels. Okay, let's meet Nino and Julie and let them tell us about their game.
My name is Nino, and I did the programming on Wheelsprung. I also did a bit of the organizing. Who knew making Excel sheets could be fun?
And my name is Julie, and I created the art and the music and helped a bit with some level design.
So in Wheelsprung you play as a squirrel on a dirt bike.
It's a story about a squirrel named Flip. We call him Flip. We have a lot of discussion of the name, but it ended up with Flip. And I think it's really nice because he's flipping a bit around in this game. And he lives nearby a nut-loving family. And one day they come home from the nut shop. They have just collected a lot of nuts. And they have 2 kids. And the youngest daughter, he's just really excited about the nuts. She's just like throwing them all over the house. And Flip is like looking from outside into the house and he's really excited about all these nuts in the house. He wants to collect them fast and eat them fast and he's not fast enough. Then he stumbles upon this toy bike and then he can grab them even faster.
Yeah, you collect nuts and get to the end of the level and there are multiple obstacles. Some of them can move. It's a bit of a racing, bit of a platformer kind of game. You have an edge if you know a lot about physics or at least some intuition. One example is that there would be a ramp in the game and you can jump over it, but then you will be spending a lot of time in the air. If instead you make a backflip over the ramp, you gain 2 seconds before having your wheels back on the ground earlier. And that's a big win there.
Yeah, the physics in this game are really fun and definitely take some getting used to. Your dirt bike is very stretchy and springy and kind of elongates and bounces around as you jump. It's great. Nino took inspiration there from some games he played in high school.
We used to have these games that were very popular. One of them was Elastomania, which has a lot in common with Wheelsprung. It's with a dirt bike, which has some weird physics properties. It's pretty elastic as well, like the dirt bike in Wheelsprung, and you also do the same kind of tricks. I really wanted that experience on Playdate, so I thought, what can I do to make this game for a handheld console rather than some DOS PC in the library. The levels in Wheelsprung are generally a bit shorter, and I added these physical elements that can move. That's also a bit of a departure from the original, but mostly it's about figuring out a single trick and then mastering it and competing against other players on the leaderboard.
Yeah, the physics of the bike itself have a lot in common with a bike in the Elastomania series. But beyond that, there are lots of differences in the obstacles and the level designs, and of course, crucially, in the player character.
I've just immediately thought it could be nice to be tiny, like riding the bike in a big house and racing around. There's something about the Playdate which is so small that, yeah, it's really nice to make like you are a small person inside this Playdate. It's a theme I have used in all of my games for this. We needed a nice, cool character, and I think a squirrel is just really awesome. Yeah. And especially when it's riding the bike, it just looks cool.
I think we're pretty aligned on ideas. I don't ask for a lot of revisions or go completely the other way. That's very nice in this project also because you, of course, work in your spare time. So yeah, that helps to make progress. But we did spend a lot of time figuring out what the name of the squirrel should be. And what is pretty funny to me is that we did not actually use that name anywhere in the game, right?
No, it's just us that know that.
At least if we discuss it together, then we know it's Flip.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a Lunar Lander in there as well, talking about the old games. But not too much because it's arcade, so it's pretty forgiving. And the Lunar Lander, you have to be spot on. Also, I think that people who played Gravity Express would be really into Wheelsprung as well.
Yeah, while Gravity Express doesn't have the same elasticity physics as Wheelsprung, they both have a similar kind of inertia in their physics.
It just captures that moment in history for me where I was playing with my friends on the library computer. What's pretty funny is that the library I used for the physics is called Chipmunk, which is a complete coincidence.
That's so perfect.
It was just the thing that was there around the year 2000. And that also reinforces that feeling that it brings you back to that time, because the last version of that library was released in 2007. It has just been set in stone ever since, just a monument of time.
That's so cool. But let's talk about how we got here. Nino first learned about Playdate when it was announced, and he remembers hearing about it at work and talking about it with coworkers.
I work at a company which is kind of like Panic, so we were immediately enthusiastic about it. It was way before the device got released. As we all know, that took some time. But yeah, I put it on my calendar to watch out for it, subscribe to the newsletter.
And Julie found out about it through Teenage Engineering, the powerhouse consumer electronics and synthesizer company that designed Playdate's hardware, and whose CEO actually came up with the idea for Playdate's iconic crank.
I have played a lot of electronic music and had always loved the instrument by Teenage Engineering. So it's actually through them I just find out about the Playdate. Me and my husband bought a lot of their stuff, and then we also bought the Playdate. I think it took a year before we got it. And then just when we see it was just like, it was so nice. And I think instantly we just wanted to make a game for it.
Nino too. And he started out with a port of an existing game he'd made years earlier.
Yeah, making a game for it was straightforward because the first game I made, that game I already made in 2005 for the PlayStation Portable. And it was written in Lua, which is one of the languages you can use for Playdate games.
Yes, you can write games in Lua, which is a lighter weight, friendlier scripting language, or you can write games in C, which is a lower level language that's maybe a bit more unwieldy, but which can be a good choice for performance reasons. You can also mix and match.
My other game is called Gravity Express, in which you are like a triangular spacecraft flying through huge caverns, picking up and delivering cargo. You are hindered by some very nasty obstacles. You have to fly around them. It was credited for being the first game for Playdate with full motion video. So I got the first prototype up in 2 days because all the code and all the assets were already there. Then it was another 7 months to get it to the catalog. Pretty straightforward for me. It was very fun to make that.
Yeah, and Gravity Express also won Best Action Game in the 2023 Playdate Community Awards.
And I have made 3 games before this. Escape the Arcade and Escape the Board Game. They're casual puzzle games with a lot of like comics in them. And then I also make a Dance Break Dance. It's a rhythm game where you just need to dance, and when the music stops, you need to stop. So you're cranking really fast, and when the music stops, you stop cranking and stop dancing.
Yeah, and Escape the Arcade, which Julie made with her husband Anders, won Best Leap of Faith in the 2025 Danish Game Awards. And Julie met Nino on the Playdate Squad Discord, which is a rad community of Playdate creators and enthusiasts.
So we are both in Discord, right? And I think I already was underway for about half a year, postponing things that required art, sound design, or music. I think my collaboration request was up for some time when Julie finally responded and we found each other.
Yeah, I think it actually was my husband that found the post. I think like it's really difficult to find a way in Discord. There's so many threads, and he was just sending me, okay, this guy needs some art. I think I've just finished Escape the Arcade and maybe also Dance Break Dance at that moment. Then I was like free to make something new.
I had already seen your video of you and your husband sharing a single chair to make a game. In one corner of the room there was the keyboard, in the other corner of the room there was the keyboard to program your games. I was like, oh yeah, that's the cutest thing. I'm a big fan of both of you, actually.
Thanks.
And actually, Anders, Julie's husband, helped out, of course, also with Wheelsprung to program the bits of the comic book story that's in there. Thank you, Anders.
Yeah, thanks, Anders. And Anders created the comic book cutscenes in the game using Panels, a system created by Caden Batrak, and which is generously available to other Playdate developers. And Nino designed the game using a level editor that he created, and which you can use to create your own levels for Wheelsprung. There are links to Nino's editor and to Panels and to a bunch of other great stuff in the show notes. So Wheelsprung has 34 meticulously crafted levels.
I made most of the designs, and the core of a level design is to have a single trick. That is important because you want to have these levels be short, so they can be played for a short session in the bus or waiting in a queue because it's on a handheld. So I wanted the levels to be completable once you got the trick in like under 30 seconds, and most are actually under 15, I think. It's a single trick because there are no checkpoints in the levels. It would be frustrating if you find something out that is really difficult to do and then smack into a wall and you have to start over again. So usually the difficult part of a level is at the start, so that you don't lose a lot of time and effort restarting the level every time. The first trick to find out is how to push the throttle, and maybe tricks later in the game are how to flip backwards to avoid maybe a spike ball, or to do a looping. There's a bit of build-up in there, and then when you get all the movements under your belt, then there are maybe movable objects in the world. So that's how you introduce that gradually. And then there are the happy accidents, which make for the best levels, where you accidentally find out something that may or may not work in the world, because it's all a physics simulation, something just might happen. So let's say that these spike balls, they are very much your enemy. When you touch them, it's game over. I just thought, like, I want this variation where if your enemies are your friends. So how can I use these spike balls to make you progress in the level? And I found a way where you can combine a spike ball and a book to get you there.
And while Julie contributed to some of the level designs, she mainly focused on the art, music, and sound design.
I have made a lot of games for the Playdate, and I think somehow I just got my own style. I just keep evolving on this style. I wanted to make it feel fun and playful with a lot of personality in it. Normally I draw like with a lot of colors, and so it's like how to make some kind of colorful without just having no colors. You just have the pixels if it's black or white. It's really challenging to make it interesting and playful. So I think it's been a lot of work for me to bring my like hand-drawn style into it. And I think it just play around with a lot of brushes, and I found a brush when I feel it's like I'm getting there with the pixel art. And I think it's really fun because like every pixel really matters. So it matters if I put it there and there or there. And also play a lot with the dithering.
Yeah, since there's only black and white to work with in one bit, dithering can help create the illusion of shades of gray by spacing out black and white pixels in different patterns. It's similar to cross-hatching in drawing.
So it can be like challenging with some of the dithering that just make it flicker. But I think it's nice to play with it. And I only used 2 patterns of dithering in this game. But I think they are really effectful when they're being used.
I think the smallest canvases to draw in were the individual limbs for Flip the Squirrel. So you have a torso and a head and an upper arm and a lower arm, an upper leg and a lower leg. They are all individual drawings. The lower arm may be like 11 by 4 pixels. It blows my mind how that still can add up to some personality. How many options do you have to fill such a small canvas?
Yeah, it was really fun to see you have made one, and then I just changed a few pixels, and then it was so different from what you made, but it's so few pixels that was changed. And then the tail, it just make a lot to it, I think.
Yeah, we got that idea at the same time, that it needs to have a tail. And of course, it's very springy in this physical world, and it's super fun and nice. I really love the art because in most games, levels are built up of tiles and repetitions of the same patterns, but every level in Wheelsprung is unique. Like, it's just a very big drawing. So you will have very personal and unique touches to each level. Like I can remember there's a snow globe that appears in a few places in Wheelsprung, and the snow globe has a little tiny house in it, and there is a painting on the wall as part of this world where we are playing inside of a house, right? So there are paintings on the wall, but in the painting there is this infinity mirror effect where you see another squirrel on a bike riding through the level. And maybe you can imagine on a scale of 2 by 2 pixels that in that painting again, there is this other repetition of a level with a squirrel in it riding a bike. It's so super nice. I would actually recommend everyone to just play the whole game a second time, just admiring the levels, just driving really slowly. There's a lot to discover there. All kinds of hints also.
Yeah, the art is great. It's super cute and there are a ton of fun details. And of course, Julie composed the music and did most of the sound design too.
It was like a collaboration with me and Nino. I composed the music, but he guided me. He just sent me like a bunch of reference, and it was really cool and inspiring. And with all this input, I created this soundtrack, and I think it ended up being really cool.
I just made a really random playlist on Spotify, I think. It had a lot of saxophones in it. It was really positive. and it has a bit of a beat and a rhythm to it. To be honest, I was a bit hesitant about having music in the game at all, because this would be a game where there would be a lot of trial and error, and you sometimes really need to focus on executing this perfect move, and then having a soundtrack on repeat in the background that could maybe distract or start to be annoying. But I really am happy with the result that we ended up with, where the soundtrack is for the level select screen, so you don't hear it constantly. And it really has something, this soundtrack, because usually I will get bored with the soundtrack if I hear it multiple times. But this really grows on you. I was programming and vibing to this track, and I like it more every time I listen to it. It's great.
Oh, thank you. I think it's some kind of electro swing genre, maybe.
Yeah, swing part is really in there.
And the little squeal from the squirrel is Julie.
Yeah, it was fun to record them. That's actually me screaming and just pitch it afterward. I was home alone at that time, so it was fine. It must have sounded really nice without the pitching and stuff, just me like screaming weird. So I also did like most of the sound design. That was some of the hardest part, because it was really challenging to get the right sounds for everything. I just come up with like lots of sounds for everything, and some of them just really didn't work. And then in the end, I think we found some sounds that work for everything. But I think it was one of the things that took a lot of time with the art and the music. I sent it to Nino, and he was like, "Whoa, that's cool. Let's do that." And with the sound, we just have like it back and forth a bit more.
I think this was the subject where we had to iterate most. I remember one sound effect for when you hit an obstacle and it would be game over. And it reminded me of a twig or a branch of a tree snapping. And I was like, oh, that may be a bit too close to bones cracking or something like that. I wanted it to be positive and playful and suitable for everyone. Yeah, then I was like, oh, maybe we can do instruments on a drum set, or a crash cymbal or a tom, and that worked much better.
Yeah, so I think the sound design is like sounds from the soundtrack, and that really works for it, yeah.
And the movable objects like the bowling ball, a marble, and a tennis ball, those are the actual sounds that those kind of things make. I just recorded it with my dad at our parents' home. Super fun to do. It's different playtesting games than what I do during my day job, which is making Android apps for smartphones. If you do a user test, you can set them up like, oh, you already have logged in your account, bought something, and you want to return it. And here's the app, go do it. You can't just say to a person, you have played this game for an hour already, you're super skilled. Now play my final level and see what you think of it. So yeah, there's a bit of a gradient in that. Like the first 10 levels have been played super many times. And the later levels, only my best friends I could ask to please play these levels. But it worked out really well. My neighbor played the game for 2 hours, and he thought it was only half an hour passed, and I thought, maybe you need a break, man. Only when he put down the Playdate, which is maybe not the most ergonomic console, that he almost couldn't move his fingers individually. But he really enjoyed it. He was in that mindset that I want people to be like, oh, let me try 2 more times. I think I got it. This sense of competition, and also the feeling that some improvement, no matter how small, could get you back on top of the leaderboard or achieve some small goal so that you can then be happy and move about your day, and then maybe later get back to it and improve some more once you found out someone else beat your score. Also finding out that the way you have been trying to improve the same way over and over again gets you very small increments in your score. But then when you think of some completely different way, like maybe a backflip instead of a front flip, at some point you'll be 2 seconds faster because you found another way, and you can feel very smart about yourself.
But it's not all about the leaderboards. Julie hopes people still enjoy the game, even if they never really get that great at playing it.
Yeah, and I just really hope that they also will enjoy the writing. So even though it doesn't go very well, if they can just enjoy the art and like having a good time with it also. You don't have to be really good. You can just take your time and enjoy it if you want.
So I have this Excel sheet where all the levels are in there. And I can kind of continuously reorder them so that they are in an order that has an increasing learning curve, but that it's not too steep. At some point, I was getting so good at playing the game that I just couldn't make easy levels anymore. And at that moment, I asked Julie, hey, could you have a fresh take at this? Try your best to not do stuff in a very complex way and refine the levels. But yeah, that really helped as well. She just made some basic levels, and we could also interject that into this learning curve. Even if you want to have a generally increasing level of difficulty, you also want a moment to relax after you have had some particularly difficult level. You can just come back to some track you learned previously. For example, level 5 is a laundry machine where you do a loop, and then level 20 is the same concept, but you need to do it 4 times. That may be almost the same, but also not quite. With the laundry machine level, you just have to do a half loop. In the other level, you need to get that momentum going, so you keep going round and round to get a good score. So you know already when you see that level for the first time that you can do it. It's just that you need to get the hang of it a bit. There's a game called Trackmania, where the focus is most on shaving off like tens or thousands of your time, competing against each other and against yourself. Also, you can see your ghost, a copy of your previous attempts at cracking the top score. And that you will see in Wheelsprung as well. I made it kind of seamless in the sense that leaderboard updates happen in the background. You first make a few attempts at beating your own score, and then when you're done, the leaderboards will be downloaded and you can compare against all the other people in the community and maybe see what you can improve there. I hope people will be really drawn into this and think it's almost dinner time, but maybe I can have maybe 2 more attempts. Then the next morning in the shower, they will think maybe I can do this or that differently. And then also I'm really looking forward to whether someone can beat me, of course.
I haven't completed the levels yet. Our teamwork has been amazing, even though we live in 2 different countries and our communication has been over Discord. I think it's been really smooth. Yeah, Nino is just really nice to organize and planning and making all these Excel sheets. Has given me a creative space where I could just do my art and the music and just like focus at what I do best without like having to think about, does this make sense compared to this? He organized everything and we have a big Trello board. I could just go in and look, okay, now I need to do this and now I need to do this. I really enjoyed that process because I don't have to think about all this planning stuff.
It was really nice collaborating with Julie. After I finished my first game, Gravity Express, I was actually doubting whether I wanted to do any other game because it's such a big investment. Like it's your free time for a year. That's basically what you commit to. And then having to organize all that, wearing 7 different hats because you're a scriptwriter, you're a cameraman, you're a programmer. You need to do something about the art, but you can't do the art yourself, so you'll hire someone else. And for every piece of art, you hire someone else again, so you need to explain the vision again. So it was really nice to just collaborate with someone whose art style I already know from the get-go that, I like that. And we can just agree on stuff easily. It's the first experience for me being a project manager. And I Googled at some point how to collaborate with Danish people. It said Danish people are the same people as Dutch people. You are just compatible. So I guess, okay, we'll do it like I usually do. And it worked out really well.
Nice that you Google it.
The idea for Playdate, where the name comes from, I guess, is that people all over the world get together to play the same game at the same time. But with Season 1 that you get when buying Playdate, it wasn't possible because there were production issues and it was not possible for everyone to have them at the same time. So when the final release date for the Playdate came, some people were still on the waiting list and they changed it. Season 1 for everyone would start at the moment where they would unbox their Playdate. So this idea of playing together did not come true because some person would be in the first episode of the season while other people already had received their Playdate earlier and were already in episode 5. So yeah, I really hope we will have these unwrapping parties. We'll sync up with their time zones and be unwrapping their games. That would be great.
Yes, the dream of Playdate is alive, and I love that this is happening with Season 2. It's been so cool to see people discover and play the games at the same time. And we're only on week 2, so there's a lot more to come. But I hope you enjoy flipping your dirt bike as Flip the Squirrel and scoring those nuts as you discover the playful, adorable world of Wheelsprung. Thanks so much for listening, and stay tuned for more episodes from Playdate Season 2, coming soon to the Playdate podcast feed.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
The Playdate podcast was written, produced, and edited by me, Krista Mergen. Cable Sasser and Simon Panrucker composed the theme song. Additional music was composed by Julie Bjørnskov and comes from Wheelsprung. Huge thanks to Tim Coulter and Asher Cabrera for wrangling the podcast feed and working on the website, James Moore for making me an awesome Playdate audio extraction app, Kaylee Stegman for handling social media, and Nevin Mergen, who created the podcast artwork and site design. And thanks as always to everyone at Panic. Playdate Season 2 is available right now on the website and on Catalog. And of course, Playdate consoles are available at play.date.
My plan is to be the absolute worst during the first week after release. That gives me two things. First, it gives everyone a chance to shine. There are 15 seconds of fame, maybe. And the other thing is that if I'm at the bottom of the leaderboard, my rank in the game will be the total amount of players because I will be at the bottom. I really like to see how many people will catch on. Watch out for me in the second week where I'll improve.